Well, hello there, and welcome to Roundtable on Telile Community Television. I'm your host, Adam Cook. This week, I sit down with the Strait Area's newest provincial cabinet minister, Richmond MLA Trevor Boudreau. And later on in the show, we're going to hear from the first ever black female cabinet minister in Nova Scotia history, Twila Grosse. We're also going to take a look at the discussion at the Richmond Municipal Council table surrounding the preferred list of J-class roads for the province to take a look at repairing over the coming weeks and months. But we begin with a special announcement that took place on Tuesday afternoon, September the 19th, at the Nova Scotia Community College Strait Area Campus in Port Hawkesbury. The campus is one of two in Nova Scotia that has been selected for a new Centre for Rural Aging and Health, or CORAH as it's known for short. The minister responsible for seniors and long-term care, Barbara Adams, was present at this announcement. We'll hear from her shortly. We're also going to hear from one of the project coordinators for the new CORAH Centre, Michelle McPhee, who many of you might recall as being Richmond County's longtime senior safety coordinator. But we begin with some opening remarks from the principal of Strait Area Campus, Vivek Saxena.
So please join me to welcoming Honorable Barbara Adams, Minister of Seniors Long-Term Care, to the podium, please.
Today, we are announcing two new centers for the rural aging and health, including one in Shelburne and one right here at this very campus. These centers are being set up to provide local seniors with easier access to a suite of activities and resources that will support them in aging well. Things like Tai Chi, rug hooking, estate planning 101, how to stay safe online, and quick and easy meal preparation. I understand that one of the very first sessions being offered here is the Elder Dog program, where participants can get tips on caring for an older pet and learn how an elder dog can help us as we age. All of the CORAH programs are centered around four principles: healthy practices, healthy relationships, healthy eating, and active living. CORAH's programs are also part of our government's plan to improve healthcare across the province. And as a physiotherapist for nearly 40 years, I know that in order for us to stay healthy, we must stay active and connected. Helping local communities support seniors with information and education and connecting seniors with services and resources are identified as solutions in our province's Action for Health plan. We know that people's needs and interests vary from one end of the province to another, and that each community has its own established group of businesses or organizations to draw from. For this reason, we made sure that each site is supported by a community advisory committee. Many of those members are here today. This committee is going to work with all of the local organizations and the seniors to deliver sessions and workshops that are tailored to their specific needs. For instance, there may be a local yoga instructor who is able to come in and hold a class, or maybe an historic group that can pull together an engaging Did You Know session on things that have happened locally or in surrounding communities. And what makes this center even better is that they will be engaging our wonderful NSCC students, many of whom are here in this room today. That interaction is rewarding for everyone, both the seniors, the students, and the instructors. The Shelburne and Port Hawkesbury sites are modeled after our first pilot center of rural aging and health that launched at the NSCC Middleton campus in 2021. And what a success it was. Since that center opened, more than 100 volunteers have participated in the delivery of over 1,100 sessions. That is remarkable. But these centers would not be possible or nearly as successful without our partners at NSCC. NSCC not only provides the space in these beautiful campuses for the centers, but they also provide leadership, administration, and opportunities for their students. And CORAH participants will be able to interact with everyone. NSCC supports outreach efforts to the community. They provide kitchen space, audiovisual support, and an abundance of all other supports. So to everyone involved at the campus level, and there are many here today, thank you very much for partnering with us on this wonderful program. This partnership has resulted in a place where seniors can come together to socialize, exercise, get tips and lessons on things that will help them at home. It is all about helping our seniors stay at home longer and drawing on the knowledge and resources in our community from our students and from the NSCC and all of the other organizations that are already functioning in this community. Together, we are making this wonderful program happen. Thank you to Vivek and his team here at the Strait Area Campus, and to Mary Thompson and her team at the Shelburne campus for helping to deliver this great program to seniors in their areas. Thank you also to Gord McKenzie and his team in Middleton for leading such a highly successful pilot, helping us learn how successful this model can be. And I'd also like to give a shout out to Lisa Camperman, who provides coordination and oversight of all 3 campuses, and to the local CORAH leads, Jennifer Westman, Annette Holmes, and Michelle McPhee. And finally, a huge thank you to all of the community advisory members, the NSCC students, and all of the community volunteers. It truly takes a village, and we certainly have one with the teams that support this wonderful program. So with that, I would like to ask Michelle to come up and share a few words about the work that is happening here at the center.
While only on the job for 2 months, I've been so excited in the progress that we've made to date. This really is a partnership, and with funding coming from the province, the efforts of Vivek and the campus team, support from my CORAH colleagues at the AVC, Shelburne, and Central campuses, along with volunteers like Dorothy, Michelle, who is another Michelle on my advisory committee, and others here today, I'm so excited to think about the difference we can make in community. Once we launch our many programs on October 3rd, we have a wide range. The minister already spoke to some of them, but introducing Tai Chi, a Cafe CORAH, history sessions like you've never heard, etc. We have a really strong lineup of interesting programs that I think will draw people in from community. I know that once we get underway, the topics in community that are fostered will spur more connectivity and ideas, and will just keep on growing. Statistics Canada reports that more than 1/5 of Nova Scotians are seniors, and this is, of course, a tremendous resource. We recognize as well how important it is to increase the level of programming and services, especially in our rural communities, for those 55 plus. Our friends in the original CORAH site, situated in the Annapolis Valley campus, know firsthand just how popular and how important this program is to their community and to their satellite communities that the program has served thus far. The growth of participants and programs is evidence of their success, which spurred further investment from the province and support of the college, and leaders like Vivek and Mary Thompson, Shelburne campus's principal. As I've learned from working with my NSCC partners, they really and truly are committed to both their campus community and the broader community. They know that both feed each other and foster one another's growth and success. So thanks again, Minister and Vivek, and my wholehearted appreciation to our many talented volunteers. I know your enthusiasm will help fuel this program's growth and success, and I really can't wait to get things rolling in a few weeks. So, without further ado, I'd love to welcome one of my Community Advisory Committee volunteers to the podium, Dorothy Barnard, to say a few words.
So, as an advisory committee member, I really feel the enthusiasm that fellow members have about this new program and its potential for seniors living in the 4 counties area. And I think it's important, this is not in my script, I think it's important to recognize we're trying to cover 4 counties. That's a large geographic area, but I think that's vital. So we hope it will be truly one that reaches all corners of a rather large geographic area. As people living in rural communities, we're aware of the often limited access to opportunities for seniors to participate in their own communities. The Port Hawkesbury campus of NSCC provides a wealth of opportunities through their staff, students, and resources to be creative and to share widely ideas, conversations, skills, knowledge, and activities. And share is the important word. I volunteered to become an advisory committee member for this project because of its virtually limitless, potential to advance the health and well-being of seniors. With broad input, as well as from all people who are involved in this program, as well as the people we want to reach. Sessions and activities will reflect the interests of seniors and address some of the challenges we face. By utilizing the numerous connections and networks that already exist in our rural areas, together we can build the Strait Area Campus Center into a valuable asset. I look forward to working with Michelle and Vivek and the other volunteers. We can reach out and connect to create a community that not only educates, but provides opportunities for friendships and social networks that add to each participant's wellness and happiness.
I'm so proud at how the college opened its door to our community, and what could be more important group than our seniors. While our mission is obviously about educating those who are enrolled in our core, customized continuing education and apprenticeship program, this extension of our work with the community through CORAH is a positive one. The community in us knows there is more to learning than just what lies within our curriculum. Where CORAH took root in Middleton, it has flourished because of its tremendous community collaboration. Not only did the participants benefit, but our students and staff who offered to volunteer and present also grew from the center, and friendships that have come from this great connection. I look forward to seeing those same connection and partnerships flourish at our campus too. I know that our amazing staff that have been laying the groundwork here and in Shelburne, both the new CORAH staff like Michelle, Linda, who are here, and our leaders like Lisa Kemperman have offered the usual college welcome to such a beneficial collaboration. On behalf of the college, I want to thank all involved for their effort in getting this off the ground, to the government for the investment and their belief in the program. I know I speak on behalf of my colleague Mary Thompson, our Shelburne campus principal, when I say what a tremendous addition this will be to the two new sites and our two communities and all those who sign up for the programming. As one of the Annapolis Valley campus participants noted, the multi-generation interaction it has sparked in Middleton has such a positive ripple effect. What a great return on investment that will mean for all of us.
There were a number of engagements that took place across the province to find out where were the biggest gaps in services. And so the two sites that were identified now had some of the biggest gaps, plus they also had the biggest opportunities by having a community campus right in their communities. So we took an inventory of the entire province, and these were two of the areas with the greatest need.
When I started here, I knew there was some key people in areas and how and who to connect with. But I think once we are up and running, we have now the opportunity to go into community and engage with those local groups and work in partnership. We know there's a lot of great work that's already happening in community, and we're looking to work together and ensure that we're not duplicating anything that's already happening. So I think we're going to be looking at engaging in the next few weeks, wholehearted engagement in community.
The first impression I had when I first took over as minister was how much was going on all across the province by both government, nonprofit, all levels of government, there's an historic amount of programming going on. Some of the challenge is just getting the word out about what is available, but we also were made aware of some of the challenges like transportation that are barriers to getting people involved. So getting things and resources local in your community, certainly that can involve students as well as seniors, was one of the priorities for our department.
Joining Seniors and Long-Term Care Minister Barbara Adams at the Cabinet table is a Richmond MLA midway through his first term in the position. Trevor Boudreau was named the new Minister of Community Services and the Minister responsible for Ill-New Affairs during the Cabinet shuffle that was held by Premier Tim Houston last week. I sat down with Trevor Boudreau shortly after that announcement. Here's our conversation right now. Can you give me a sense on what the process was like when the Premier approached you to say, would you like to join our cabinet and would you like to join me in these two particular roles? What was that process like?
It's an interesting time, right? We're 2 years into a 4-year term, and so this was the halfway point. And so, the Premier did want to have meetings with all of caucus. So everybody was scheduled for a meeting over the course of 3 days this past week, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. On top of that, there was a by-election and where we had a win in the Preston riding. And so obviously there was, some celebration there, but also having a look at, the cabinet and also there were a few members of cabinet who had made reference to not reoffering again. So this was an opportunity to bring in some new people in the cabinet with certain skill sets or whatever the Premier thought would be helpful to get us engaged. And he's done that with me on a number of files over the years anyway. So I've moved my way through, I would say, a number of different roles, including caucus or government whip, but in committee chairs and that sort of thing. But basically the process in this case was we all had an individual meeting, and you really you had no idea what the meeting was necessarily going to be about. We did the same thing when we first were elected as well. So then when I had my meeting, it was pretty apparent at that meeting what the Premier's intentions were for me, and we had a good discussion about about the position. Right, there's no secret this is a heavy position. I feel the heaviness taking this role on, and we discussed some of the reasons he thought I would fit it well, and I asked questions about expectations and having a discussion with my family, and certainly he was very supportive of that because he knows how important family is, right? His family is very important to him, and he expects it for us as well. So had that conversation, and then once all of that kind of jived, it was all right. Well, we'll see you in a couple of days for the swearing in ceremony, and then it was kind of keeping it quiet and kind of really letting it set in for a couple of days while you were waiting for that swearing in ceremony.
Well, I want to ask you about that ceremony in just a moment, but I'd like to pick up on something you mentioned just for the benefit of our viewers. Premier Houston mentioned when he was asked about you during the media availability shortly after the swearing-in ceremony, he said that you had done a great job as the PC caucus whip as well, and the government whip. For the benefit of our viewers who might not understand what exactly that term means, can you tell us a little bit about what your role was in the position of whip?
Yeah, no, that's a great question, Adam. And so the whip position is a very unique position for each caucus. So when you're in the legislature, there's a lot of processes and rules and procedures that happen with respect to what goes on in the legislature. And we have in the opposition would have a whip for either party as well as the government whip, and that role, it really encompasses a whole bunch of things, but in its basic form, it's supporting the House leader with getting the agenda of the government through the legislative process. But that also includes supporting my colleagues and making sure I understand what their needs are and where they are, so that we have the numbers to get the votes, but also to make sure that people have the ability to kind of come and go as the legislative session is going on. We're in the legislature quite long hours, sometimes till midnight or after, and in evenings, and so everybody has different responsibilities and roles, and it's about making sure we can balance those roles. So I used the joke loosely that, if somebody needed to go for, for a walk, well, I had to know where they were going and when they'd come back, or, that sort of thing. But I also helped out with a lot of making sure we were in order and getting ready for, debate or discussions, who was going to be speaking on what topics. I did a lot of the organizing in the background of like schedules during what's called estimates. So estimates are when the opposition have the opportunity to ask questions on the budget. And so it's about organizing all of that and who's sitting in what rooms. And so it's a lot of like organizational side of things, but it's also about building relationships and trust with your colleagues and working across the line to make sure that it's an effective and efficient legislature. So I took that role very seriously. And I think I added a little bit to the role in terms of my compassion and my empathy for everybody, and trying to work across with everybody, all party lines. And so I think the Premier really thought a lot of how I handled that.
Now, you mentioned compassion and empathy, and it seems to me that those are two things that are explicitly necessary for the Department of Community Services. One of the other reporters in Halifax talked about the department as being a land of strife and a land of concern. And obviously, this impacts a lot of Nova Scotia's most vulnerable people in their daily lives. So, what are your priorities? What do you feel the department's priorities now as you settle into your new role? What are some of the things that you and your fellow community services, deputy ministers, and the other civil servants are hoping to accomplish?
Look, I mean, it's, when Minister McFarland was kind of sworn in as the Deputy of Community Services, or Minister of Community Services, she was given a mandate by the Premier. That mandate is explicit in terms of what are the things that are expected of her and her team as they go. And so that's part of our job, is to kind of follow that mandate. And the Premier and I, I'm sure we'll talk about that mandate a little bit more in the future, about kind of where we are on that mandate, what else needs to be achieved. But I do want to go back to the empathy and compassion side of things. And I will tell you, I got to meet my team and the executive team for the Community Services Department. And I will tell you, this is a group of people that have empathy and compassion in spades. And it was very comforting when I got there, and just the feeling that I had with these people already, and how comfortable I was with understanding the roles that we have to play. Like, these are tough conversations to be having, and these are difficult times for a lot of Nova Scotians, and as you mentioned, some of our most vulnerable. And so our focus, and my focus, is going to be trying to figure out ways to support our most vulnerable, to help them in their times of need, and to help all Nova Scotians in these difficult times. And so, if I were to say what are my major priorities right now, it's trying to get a handle on the whole portfolio itself, but also it's so important to build those relationships and that trust with your service providers, like we have in the Strait Area and all across the province, and building trust and relationships with municipal and federal colleagues, because as we all know, and everybody likes to point the blame at everybody else, that it's their fault or it's in their wheelhouse. We're all in this together, and Nova Scotians are in this together. I will tell you, the hardworking people that work at our food banks in Richmond County and in Port Hawkesbury, and that I've gotten to know over the years, these are people that are giving of their time to support the most vulnerable. And there are some initiatives that are being taken by the department right now, and we can talk a little bit more about that maybe in the future. But certainly my role is to make sure everybody knows that I'm there for.
Inflation has made it difficult for so many people. You talk about food banks, increased usage there. Did that knowledge make it daunting for you, or even make you have some second thoughts as you were considering whether to take on this specific portfolio? Or are you going into it with some hope and with some optimism that there are ways that those that are really struggling right now can be helped by yourself as minister, but by your department in general?
And look, Adam, it is a very challenging time for all Nova Scotians. And so I am so blessed and fortunate to be able to have this opportunity, and I mean that in the purest sense, because like, there's no question that people in Nova Scotia are struggling, and we can look at this as all of the strife and all of the the challenges that come with this. And we can, you know, you'll hear me talk sometimes about the fight or flight response and how people react to challenges. And my belief has always been to give everything I've got. And I'm not going to be able to solve everything, Adam. I have to wrap my head around that, because I'm a person who has high expectations, who wants to do right on everybody and for everybody, and there will be challenges, and but I'm optimistic. Like, this is a government of compassion. This is a government that cares. We have focused on healthcare, and as a healthcare provider, I was very pleased about that. And now, as the Minister of Community Services and Elderly Affairs, like, it's about building those relationships and growing and learning and understanding all of the challenges, right? Like, you know, again, I come from a place of privilege, right? I've been very fortunate to have a wonderful wonderful family that supports me, and wonderful career, and my wife is very enthralled and challenged in her career, and we're very blessed by that. But I don't let that make I want people to make sure that they know that I am privileged, but I also understand that I need to learn more about how to help all Nova Scotians. So I've got a lot of work to do. Optimistic about the possibilities, but knowing the challenges as well.
Looking at those challenges, we found out last week that the previous minister in both these positions, Community Services and Elderly Affairs, Carla McFarlane, that you mentioned a little earlier, will be staying on within the department, not as minister, you're the minister, but she'll be staying on to help you settle in and to also ease the transition. She is stepping away from cabinet to run as Speaker of the House in October. The nomination will go through there. But can you tell me about what it's been like for you having the previous minister, Carla McFarlane, working with you in the early stages to help you settle into these new portfolios?
Yeah, great question again, Adam. And what a blessing for me. Like, it's not often that a newly appointed minister has this access to the former minister. Usually there's a changeover where they're packing their bags and moving stuff out of an office and you're moving in, and that's not the case this time, right? So I have someone with a breadth of knowledge and the same motivation that I have, and has had that experience and exposure for 2 years. And so you know, I'm going to utilize you know, Carla, the former minister, to the best of my ability, to understand the files, and to understand, you know, what has taken place, and where the department has created a strategic plan, and where they want to move forward. And I'll like I said, I'm very, very fortunate, and Carla is a wonderful person and really does care, and you could see it in how she treated her portfolios. And so I'm just hoping to build off that and carry on her a bit of her legacy.
And we have had Minister McFarlane on our Telile airwaves a couple of times. I've interviewed her a couple of times, so we're glad we'll be able to keep that tradition going as well. We've been talking a lot about community services, Trevor, and I wanted to speak to your new position as Elderly Affairs Minister. And obviously, from a geographic perspective, your riding takes in Budladek First Nation, so you have some insight from that perspective. But what are you hoping to be able to accomplish, and what are you hoping in terms of partnerships with the various levels of Mi'kmaq government across Nova Scotia as you settle into this new position?
Well, you know, again, Adam, this is about building relationships, right? So the provincial government has the desire and has the you know, the want to make sure that we build those relationships with our Mi'kmaq communities. And so you know, right away on day one, I was meeting with my deputy minister there and having a good conversation about how to start engaging and building on those relationships. And I've reached out to a number of the chiefs already, and actually some of the councillors here in Budladek, to just get a feel for what they think about all of it, and where they see my role helping them and advocating for them and understanding kind of their needs and wants, and certainly for them to build that relationship and that trust, so they can have an idea of where the province wants to move and how they want to move forward. So I'm looking forward to kind of getting into the office in the next, you know, couple of days and into the next week, and really understanding that a little bit better. And so again, this is also new to me, but it's, again, I think that's one of my strengths is being able to build those relationships and to make sure that people know that I'm there for them. And the conversations that I've had with one of the chiefs was tremendous, and just really looking forward to being able to be a part of something that supports our First Nations community. So again, still in the learning stage.
This is the first time in several decades, if ever, that all 4 Strait Area MLAs are in the provincial cabinet. One of your caucus colleagues, Alan McMaster, even took on additional cabinet roles as part of the shuffle coming this past Thursday. And there's only so much that a region of cabinet ministers can have influence on overall government direction. I mean, this happens whether it's in urban Sydney area, urban Halifax area, along Pictou County, or in the Strait. But having said that, again, it doesn't happen very often that all 4 of the local MLAs are in cabinet together. How did that make you feel in terms of being able to work with Mr. Morrow, Mr. McMaster, and Michelle Thompson to be able to impact the way that the life is carried out here in the Strait?
Look, we have a great team here in the Strait, and we're very blessed and fortunate that that we had 3 cabinet ministers to begin with in the first 2 years of our term. And my role, I think, a lot of the time was just making sure we were all connecting and supporting each other and understanding what the needs of the Strait area are. And quite frankly, we've done a good job up to this point of engaging the right departments when the time has arisen. And we've certainly tried to take advantage of the 4 of us being there to ask questions, to understand how government policy and regulation impacts the Strait area. And so having that, that ability to sit around and say, how is this impacting us? And how do we leverage this strength to build a better place here in the Strait area? And I'm really looking forward to it. We have a great team, and our team across the board, our role is to make sure Nova Scotia succeeds. But our role as Strait area is to make sure how does the Strait area fit in this grand scheme of things. And so whether it's with healthcare, whether it's with economic development and some of the opportunities in the Strait area that are surrounding us as we speak, we've got a lot going for us. If you ask a lot of my colleagues from outside of the Strait area, they will say we have a lot going for us. And I think what an opportunity for us to build on that. So looking forward to it. Never been to a cabinet meeting. Going to get to my first cabinet meeting, I think, this week, and I'll see how the lay of the land works there. And but yeah, I think I can speak for the 4 of us in saying, we're going to continue to advocate for the Strait area and the people here that reside here. So yeah, right. Not different much that way, but very unique circumstance. Like I don't know, I don't recall this happening prior, but I was curious if you had known if this had happened in the past. So
it goes back at least to 1970 that there has never been a time in Nova Scotia politics where all 4 MLAs from around the Canso Causeway and that general area have all been in cabinet together.
Right.
It's even rarer that all 4 are from the same party. So wow. You're part of a unique group there, Trevor Boudreau. So wow. Take that to the bank. Yes.
Thank you, Adam.
We've covered a lot of ground in a short time, and obviously your time is valuable given the new duties you've taken on. But is there anything else that you wanted to add before we wrap this up?
No, Adam, I just, again, I'm very humbled by the Premier putting his trust in me, but I also have always been very humbled by the people of Richmond putting their trust in me to be their representative. And certainly this doesn't change things with us. Our staff, my staff, have been supportive and eager to get calls and support those people in Richmond County, and even others who aren't from Richmond County who reach out to our office. We want people to feel comfortable reaching out to us if they have issues and challenges. And certainly this portfolio is going to open my eyes to a whole another level of things, but it doesn't remove the fact that I'm here because of the people of Richmond and I'm representing the people of Richmond, and it is an honor and a privilege to do just that. And so I'll continue to do what I can and be there for people. and also help support other Nova Scotians that need my help or our help as a government. So again, thank you for the time, Adam.
No trouble at all. We have enjoyed having you on our various programs over the first 2 years of your term, and we look forward to being able to continue that relationship with you now that you are a part of the provincial cabinet. But once again, thank you for giving me some time here today, Trevor, and congratulations on your appointments.
It's my pleasure anytime, Adam. And again, thank you for that.
Every year at this time, Nova Scotia's Department of Public Works sends out a request to municipal units as to which secondary or J-class roads they'd like the province to take care of over the coming year. And that discussion landed at the recent Committee of the Whole meeting of Richmond Municipal Council. Here are some of the highlights. Kicking things off, here is Richmond's CAO, Troy McCulloch.
This is our standard briefing note on the J-class roads. And barring what we've been going through with our interaction on the service exchange, I think we proceed as per normal on this. Select any roads, keep with the list that we had, and just resubmit, or if there are changes in the priorities, to let us know.
Yeah, well, one of them's off the list now, it's done, right?
One is, yep.
Yeah. So that was great to see that done.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is there any others people would like to add to the?
Yep.
I have one I had considered, but I'll open the floor first if there's anybody else has one that they've been looking at. No, okay. Yeah, I was looking at the Kings Road located in Rockdale, which has often had some issues with culvert repairs and so on, and that several times over. That one's on the second page, I think. Right.
Yep, right there.
Right there. If there's no other submissions, I'd be willing to submit that.
Kings Road?
Yeah.
Yeah. John.
I'm not gonna say there's no other submissions, I just think I would like to take the time to go over the list. Or do you need a submission tonight?
When do we need to have this entered again? It says here somewhere.
It should.
October 31st is the application deadline.
Yeah. So it has time to take it back to council.
Okay.
Okay.
You want to defer this to the September council meeting and give a couple of weeks?
Sure.
Okay.
Okay.
We don't need a motion to that effect.
You can just defer it.
Okay. All right, we'll do that.
And we're going to close this week's edition of Roundtable with some more footage provided to us by Communications Nova Scotia and the Province of Nova Scotia from the Cabinet Shuffle announcement that took place last Thursday, September the 14th. Of course, the local implications for this Cabinet Shuffle are obvious. Richmond MLA Trevor Boudreau making his first appearance in Nova Scotia's Cabinet midway through his first mandate, and Inverness MLA Alan McMaster picking up the Communities, Culture and Heritage portfolio in addition to his current jobs as Deputy Premier and Finance Minister. However, there was some more conversation involving the new arrangement of civil servants and deputy ministers that Premier Houston has assigned to take on various roles. So we're going to hear a little bit more about that. You'll also hear about how the Premier responded to concerns about housing issues in HRM and in Nova Scotia as a whole. Later on in this segment, you're also going to hear the opening remarks from Twila Grosse, the new Preston MLA, who has become Nova Scotia's first ever black female cabinet minister. But before we get to that, here once again is Premier Tim Houston.
I want to confirm to Nova Scotians that as we enter the second part of our mandate, we are as optimistic as ever about this province. We are determined to fix healthcare. We will continue to grow our population because that means growing the economy and it means creating good jobs. We will continue our focus on booming sectors like the energy sector. But the challenges on the horizon are real. Historic inflation, labor shortages, and believe me, I've spent a lot of time with Minister Lohr on the importance of housing. It's never been more important that we face these challenges united as a province and united as a country. Your government will work with everyone and anyone who wants to be part of the solutions of moving this province forward. We're fortunate to have the support of a very capable team in the civil service. We're always looking for ways to maximize their potential and make space for them to use their talents to best serve Nova Scotians. So today we're announcing a core team of executive deputy ministers. They're not tethered to any single one department, but instead they will focus on solutions across government. This is a team of individuals who have proven their ability to get things done, and I will be looking to them to get even more done for you, for Nova Scotians. Ultimately, as caucus members, as cabinet ministers, as deputy ministers, as civil servants, we're all here for one reason. That's to serve Nova Scotians and to bring them the government that they deserve. Good government matters, and I will do whatever I can to make sure that the entire team and myself never forget that serving Nova Scotians is at the core of everything we do. Happy to take any questions.
And on the issue of this new executive group of DMs and pressing issues, given the scope of the housing problem at the moment, can you talk a little bit about the decision to take your housing DM out of that dedicated role and put him as a member of this executive team instead?
I think when you look at the issues, there's a number of issues that cut across a number of departments. Housing would certainly be one. So I would say with the team of executive deputy ministers, a team that can be nimble, can move and focus on issues as required. It brings more resources to an issue like that. So Paul LaFleche is an incredibly talented individual. He will still be involved in the housing file, but I think when you look at the real benefit of this structure with the executive deputies, I mean, you may have let's say a number of issues in justice where Dana has a great skill set, knows the files, and can be helpful. But she's been tethered to another department and not able to use her skills there. So now that kind of brings additional resources. This executive team of deputy ministers will bring resources to the issues that are needed, and certainly housing is an issue that's needed right now. So it will allow us to bring more talents, more perspectives, more expertise, more insight to those issues across the deputy level, and it's going to be a really good thing for Nova Scotians.
What other issues? 5,000.
Oh, I mean, of course, the core issues, healthcare is obviously a number one priority. Housing is a number one priority. The affordability crisis is showing itself in many ways. So I mean, when you look at somebody like Tracy with her expertise, and obviously she's been on that community services file with Mr. McFarland, she'll still be focused on that, but also able to now reach over into other areas. So this is a good thing. This is a good thing for Nova Scotians, and it brings more expertise. There's a lot of talent in the civil service. I think it's kind of our job to unleash that potential and let them really shine through with what they can do and support them, and that's what this allows us to do.
Jennifer Church is the new Deputy Minister of Policy and Priorities, or Priorities and Planning, sorry, which has nominally been the job of Karen Oldfield for the last 2 years. First of all, I'm wondering if you could talk a bit about why you picked Jennifer Church for the job, but also, does this mean that Karen Oldfield is no longer the interim CEO of the health authority?
No, the health responsibilities are different, and of course with the health leadership team, and we want them to stay incredibly focused. There's a good health leadership team there. Lots of really positive things happening on the healthcare file, for sure. But I put a lot of pressure on them to do more and go faster. We're not changing anything in the health leadership team, but Jennifer is incredibly talented, and she'll do a great job in that portfolio. And as I guess as an accountant, I kind of very data focused on looking at the data around the issues and the possible opportunities. And Jennifer is certainly a person that I see eye to eye with on the needs for that. She's very capable, and she'll do a good job there.
In the last couple of days, particularly from HRM, there's been some criticism from municipal officials and the feeling that there's not enough urgency coming from the province on the housing file. Of course, you've got multiple housing strategies that are delayed by months. What would you say to the public who from the outside looking in perhaps don't see the same level of urgency on that issue as your government has clearly demonstrated on the healthcare file?
Look, the housing issue, it's everyone's problem. It's a problem nationally. It's a municipal issue. They have some ownership. It's a provincial issue. We have some ownership, and the federal government. This is everyone's problem. So pointing fingers and blaming somebody else, I mean, that's for other people to do. But what I would say is, it would be appropriate for the HRM Council to look in the mirror a little bit too. This is a problem that's been growing for over 10 years. We've been here for 2 years. We've tried to set up some structures to work with them, but I agree with the Prime Minister, and I agree with Minister Fraser when they say that it's time for municipal councils to step up. Here in Halifax, we have lots of examples of council dragging their feet on approvals that could see housing built. I think when you look at, we want to work with them on kind of the fee structure. I mean, that's a council that has sent fees for construction through the roof. They've made it, development permit fees, grading fees, building permit, post bonus incentive fee on these are huge. Plumbing fees, solid waste charge, wastewater redevelopment charge, blasting permits, culvert fees, demolition fees. Some of these fees have gone up by 7 and 8 times, and every one of those fees lands on the cost of housing. And so to ask the question now of why is there not more affordable housing, when as a council, they have been just jacking these, what I would call hidden taxes up through the roof. So nobody should be surprised that there's an affordability crisis. And we've even seen the URP step in and tell HRM Council, like, you got to get some of these things approved, right? So we're here. We want to work with them. We've set up some structures to try and help move some of this stuff through, but it's everyone's issue. We all have to work together on this, and the federal government has made that clear as well. And we're here to help. But look, stomping your feet and pointing at somebody else, no. Roll up your sleeves and get to work. We have a housing strategy coming. I expect it'll be released this fall. But look, in all honesty, we've had to go back. We've had to go back and make some changes to some of that strategy because of the failures of some of the municipalities. So we're trying to make it more fulsome, but it'll come this fall. This is a big issue, and Nova Scotians and Canadians want it resolved. We want it resolved. We're focused on it. We need some partners in the municipality, HRM specifically, and I believe we can work well with the federal government on this for the benefit of Nova Scotians.
But on the theme of everybody doing their part and doing what falls under their purview, is the province doing enough when, and this isn't just at your feet, you're absolutely right, but this province hasn't built any new affordable housing in 30 years. Is that the province living up to its obligations and responsibilities?
The province, I mean, look, the issues around the housing stock that's managed by the province, there's big issues there for sure. We're focused on, making sure that we bring that up to a standard. We make the renovations. We work with folks in government to make sure that that's suitable for tenants and stuff. But we need more housing. We need more affordable housing. We need more housing for across the entire spectrum. And this is, was the focus of putting the task force together to try to work with HRM to try to bring them along. It's also, we can't forget the importance of transportation in this too. So this is the Joint Regional Transportation Authority that we've established, big part of the solution. Even here in Metro, if we want to talk about Halifax, it's hard to open up housing in different areas if you can't get there on a Metro Transit. So we got to get the transit system working properly, and that's why we're trying to focus on getting things moving. I think that's something we can help with for sure. We'll make the investments and we'll continue to make investments, but there's a lot of work to do on the housing file. There's no question about that. We're committed to doing it. We want to work with HRM, but we need to, we just get them to come along with us and roll up the sleeves and get to work too.
As we mentioned earlier here on Roundtable, the cabinet shuffle that was held on Thursday, September the 14th was historic in nature because it involved the first ever black female cabinet minister in Nova Scotia history. That's Twila Grosse. She was elected just last month in a by-election in the riding of Preston. Now she is taking on the role of Minister responsible for African Nova Scotian affairs, as well as Minister responsible for the public service. We're going to hear what Twila Grosse thinks about all this in just a moment. First of all, here's how Premier Tim Houston described her.
Twila is a remarkable person and extremely talented, and she's going to do a really good job for Nova Scotians in her roles there, and she can offer a lot for sure.
You were brand new to the legislature. You still haven't sat yet. I wondered how that will be sitting on the front benches rather than spending some time on the back benches, learning the kind of the toing and froing.
You know, in terms of that question, I'm so new that I really can't provide any, real insight into that. I've only been elected August 8th, so that's a little more than a month, and still learning, moving forward. So I can't really say how it's really going to be.
What were you thinking about today at Government House going through the ceremony?
What was I thinking about? Sort of, wow. What an opportunity, what a privilege, what an honor to be given this task. And the fact is that, I've worked hard in the community. And so I just feel I'm ready for this. And so I was sort of in awe, very humbling, very grateful.
When did you find out from the Premier what role he was going to ask you to take on?
I think it was Tuesday.
What did you think about it? You've been, I guess, you've been in a bureaucracy before, and now you're sort of responsible for kind of running one.
Mm-hmm.
What did you think of the assignment you've been given?
I was quite, I don't know, I was impressed with the assignment. I mean, and you call it an assignment. And so I think it shows that, there's some confidence and some faith in my abilities. And so that's really what, what I thought about it. I said, hey, this is a great opportunity.
What does it mean to you to be the first female African Nova Scotian?
I'm sorry?
What does it mean to you to be the first female African Nova Scotia cabinet minister?
Oh, I never even thought about that. I think it means a lot. And of course, with it, sometimes being the first in something, people always think about, sort of the glamour and the glitz of it. But on the other side, I mean, there's a lot of responsibility that comes with being first.
What do you think it says about where Nova Scotia is and where it has been?
I think Nova Scotia continues to, advance and to move forward. And the fact is that, there are opportunities in this province.
And what perspective do you bring to the job of African Nova Scotian affairs?
What perspective? Just the fact that I've worked in the community. I've been on a number of provincial boards. Also been a member of the Black Cultural Center for Nova Scotia. So I do have a good understanding and insight as to the historical aspect and where the province is in terms of the Black community.
Okay, I'll jump to the phone lines now. Michael Tutton with the Canadian Press. Do you have a question?
Well, just to quickly, what is your first priority, and what would you like to accomplish top of your list?
I think that's I haven't really thought about that yet. I mean, I really just got to get in there and you know what, get to know the folk, and, really to, understand the workings of the department.
Michael, do you have a follow-up question?
And just to further on the being the first female Black African Nova Scotian cabinet minister, is there an issue that you'd like to see addressed for African Nova Scotian women in this province that you'd like, that during your tenure, that you'd like to champion?
Honestly, I haven't thought about that. I mean, even the haven't really had time to sort of absorb, being the first, and so I haven't really thought about that yet.
Do any of the other reporters on the phone or on Zoom, have questions for Minister Grosse?
I do. This is Tim Boudreau. First of all, congratulations. Recognizing that you're still, need to get your sea legs in the position as minister, you have been involved significantly in the African Nova Scotian community and various organizations. Do you have a sort of set of issues that you feel need to be addressed, or are there some sort of first steps that you want to take, given that you still have the limitations of the bureaucracy to figure out, but surely you bring some concerns into the office?
Of course, but at the end of the day, I still have to, this is all new. This is sort of day one. So I think I really need, to take, a little bit of time to assess, what's going on and get a good idea as to, where the department is at. So in terms of, it's not about what I want, it's what's best for, the African Nova Scotian community.
And there you have it. That wraps up this week's edition of Roundtable. Thank you for tuning in, and a special thank you to my interview guest this week, Trevor Boudreau. Thanks as well to Communications Nova Scotia and the Province of Nova Scotia for providing us with the footage from the Thursday, September the 14th Cabinet announcement by Premier Houston. If you have any thoughts about what you've seen over the past hour here on Roundtable, or you'd just like to make suggestions for future editions of the show, I'd love to hear them. You can contact me directly. My phone number is 902-625-8863, and you can reach me by email using the address adamjrcook, cook with an E, @gmail.com. You can also contact Telile Community Television directly with your ideas and your comments. The station phone number in Arashat is 902-226-1928, and the best email address to use is telile@telile.tv. Don't forget to follow Telile on social media. We're on X, formerly known as Twitter, as well as Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. And our YouTube channel features every single edition of Roundtable, including this one, as well as individual segments and reports from our shows. And you can find the same service available for our sister program, Telile 24/7, as long as a lot of other informative and exciting new programs that Telile has been putting together in recent weeks. For now, I'm Adam Cook. Thank you once again for joining me for this week's edition of Roundtable. I look forward to seeing you again next week with a brand new show. Bye for now.